Hey everybody, Jesse Brisendine here. And today I want to take a moment to share with you the 3 biggest myths that I've seen that keep people from success. These myths are the ones that I see come up time and time again. I hear over and over again. And without a doubt, these 3 myths are the biggest dream destroyers, goal robbers. They are countlessly, time and time again, the source of New Year's resolutions going unfulfilled, of promises being broken, and lives being lived unfulfilled. I promise you this, that if you change these 3 things and how you conduct your life day in and day out, and you change these 3 things around whatever goal, whatever dream you have, I promise you that your life will transform. So here they are. Number 1, myth number 1. I'll hear it said said time and time again, I don't have the time. Right? I don't have the time. People make the excuse all the time, I don't have the time for this, I don't have the time for that. Oh, if I wasn't so busy, if I didn't have to do this, this, and this, if I didn't have to do that, that, and that. People will come up with this excuse time and time again, that there's this myth that there's not enough time. Ladies and gentlemen, how is it possible that we all have the same 24 hours a day, all 7.4 billion people of us, and some people are able to get stuff done and others don't? It's because this illusion, this myth that there's not enough time. I promise you this, that if you are fully committed to your goal, if you are fully committed to your outcome, if you are as committed to achieving the results you're after as you're committed to making the excuse a reality, you would start accomplishing a heck of a lot more. Time and this myth that there's not enough time is an illusion. Because if one person can do it, that means the rest of it can do it. And I promise you that I get that there's a lot of us out there who have some really challenging circumstances. I get that there's a lot of us out there that have a lot of hats that we juggle and responsibilities we're carrying around. Whether it's kids, mortgages, bills, jobs, careers, finances, parents, whatever it is. I get that. And I'm willing to bet that if you were willing to look hard enough, you would likely be able to find somebody who's in a similar situation as you, and they're able to accomplish all that they wanted to accomplish. So myth number 1 is time. And the key takeaway is this: if one person can make the time, you can too. What my suggestion to you is do a time audit. Sit down and look at your schedule. Not necessarily your appointments, but all the in-between time. How much time you spend going and lingering at the coffee machine? How much time do you take getting ready in the morning? How much time do you spend brushing your teeth? How much time do you spend watching TV or watching YouTube channels or scrolling through Facebook? I'm willing to bet that you could find 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and if you piece them all together, you would have a significant enough chunk of your time to have more time to accomplishing what you really want to accomplish. Myth number 2. I don't have enough money. I don't have the money. It's too expensive. It costs too much. I can't afford it, etc., etc., etc. I would if it wasn't so much. I would if I made more. Right, you get the picture. How many of you have ever, and be honest, how many of you ever used that as an excuse to keep you from getting what you wanted to do? I'm willing to bet all of us have at some point. And I get that you may not have, your dream might be to go and do an African safari. And I get that you may not have the money in your bank account right now to go on that safari. But what I'm willing to bet is that if you really made a commitment to going on that safari, you would start taking steps right now to make that happen, right? Maybe it's setting aside $5 every week. Maybe it's setting aside $10 every week. Maybe it's going to Starbucks 2 less times. Maybe it's foregoing that glass of wine on the weekend. Maybe it's eating out 1 or 2 times less a month. Ask yourself this, big idea with money here. Ask yourself this, and I'll use this with clients a lot, and it's mind-boggling how much it opens up our mind. If somebody were to walk up to you and say, hey, here's the deal. I have a 1,000,000% guarantee return. What I need from you today is you give me $5,000. And in 5 days, I'm going to give you your $5,000 back plus an additional $10,000. Could you come up with the money? Right? I mean, they're giving you a 1,000,000% guarantee. Of course you could, because you're getting your $5,000 back, plus you're getting an extra $10,000 in return. How would you do that? How would you come up with that? Would you borrow from somebody? Would you go to the bank? Would you sell off stock? Would you sell off your car? Would you get rid of all those clothes you've been talking about, finally put them on eBay? Would you go through that collection that's been sitting around forever and collecting dust, and instead you put it out there for others who would pay for it? Do you get that second job? What is it that you do? The point of this is this. So often we focus on our perceived limitations, what we think that we can't do, that we don't open up our mind to the horizon of what's possible out there. If something were to happen in your child or your family member, God forbid, something catastrophic happened to them, I bet you could figure out a way to help them out. You see, I'm amazed at how resourceful we can become when we need to become resourceful. We use this myth of not having enough money because it gives us an excuse. We use this myth of I can't afford it because it gives us an excuse. Meanwhile, what happens is we're so concerned about the cost of something, we don't recognize the cost of making the excuse of buying into the myth has on our life. Right? About how much of our time ticks away, how much of our life goes by, how many more months, days, weeks, years are we going to spend hiding behind that I can't afford it, I don't have enough money, etc., 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 until we start doing something about it. Which leads me to big idea number 3, myth number 3. It's this illusion that there will be tomorrow. Meaning, there's this myth that we have more time, aka there's not enough urgency to it. How many of you have said, I can do it tomorrow, I'm tired, I'm gonna go to bed, it'll be there tomorrow? How many of you have ever gotten in an argument with somebody, had a disagreement, and you say, oh, I'll deal with it tomorrow? How many of you ever had that happen and then tomorrow didn't come? One of the things I'm most grateful in my life, my dad and I never had the best relationship. One of the things I'm the most grateful in my life about is I used to always with my dad, oh, I'll talk to it later, I'll talk to him later, I'll talk to him next week, in a month from now, whatever it is. For whatever reason, my dad had sent me an email 5 days before he died. I kept putting it off. Oh, I'll respond to dad tomorrow, I'll respond to dad tomorrow, I'll respond to dad tomorrow. Normally, I would not call my father too. I would hide behind the computer. For whatever reason that day, the day less than 24 hours before he died, I decided to pick up the phone and call him. And my dad and I talked for about 18 and a half minutes, and it was easily one of the best conversations I've ever had in my life with my father. I didn't know it was going to be the last one, but I'm grateful that I got to have that last conversation with him. Because I remember hanging up the phone and thinking, wow, my dad and I feel a lot closer. I feel like we're building on this relationship. I remember that day driving home, driving up to where my mom and dad are, and thinking the whole time that if only I had more time, how I would say I love you, how I'd apologize for this, how I would want to do this with my dad. You see, death brings about this sense of urgency. I can't tell you how many times I've seen it from people where they get the prognosis from the doctor, and all of a sudden now that they're faced with their death, they're ready to start living. I can't tell you how many times I've seen it from people where a tragedy happens, somebody gets sick, somebody gets ill, somebody gets killed, that they say, oh my God, life is so fragile, I need to start doing these things now because tomorrow's not promised. And they're fired up about living, and then a few days goes by, it turns into a week, turns into a month, and all of a sudden they forgot what that fire was. And they're right back to just, I'll do it tomorrow. Your life would change if you got rid of the myth of you'll have tomorrow, and you started to light a fire under your behind and reminded yourself that you are not guaranteed anything beyond this moment. That the urgency you need needs to come from within here. Because there is no promise of tomorrow. There isn't. What is promised is now, and what you have now is you have the ability in here and in here to start making a significant change, a significant step forward towards whatever it is that you're after. Whether it's a new career, a better relationship, growing your relationship, evolving your relationship, overcoming your stress, getting rid of your worry, eliminating anxiety, making more money, traveling more, forming a better relationship with your kids, getting unstuck, becoming unstoppable, whatever that is for you. You have the keys inside of you to start living the fulfilling life that you deserve. If only you would start giving yourself a deadline to live it. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. All that is guaranteed is right now. And I promise you this, if you stop with the excuses, you stop letting the myths get you off the hook from taking steps forward, You stop buying into, I don't have enough time. You stop telling yourself that you don't have enough money. You stop spellbinding yourself by the illusion of you have tomorrow, not giving yourself a sense of urgency. I promise you, if you stop doing all those things and you start taking action towards what you really want, doing a small step, taking where it's putting $5 aside every day for a trip to Africa, whether it's going out right after this and applying for that job you've wanted to apply for, whether it's going over to your spouse, your wife, your lover, your husband, your partner, whoever it is, and telling them and looking deeply into their eyes and saying, I'm so sorry, I've been so distant. Please forgive me, I love you, and I want to work on things with you. What do you need from me? Whatever it is, you let go of those 3 myths, and I promise you this, your life will change radically for the better. And you will be on the very fast track to living the fulfilling life that you deserve. I'll talk to you soon.